Hello guys and gamers, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and is it the best game in the series? Well, I would say it is definitely, but it is not perfect, and I am a game designer, so I did notice some good changes and some still apparent flaws in the game, and I really wanted to discuss them with you guys. But before we begin, I would love to remind you guys to please like and subscribe. If we hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year, I will do a very special live stream dissecting the game design behind the most disappointing game I have ever played. And also comment down below because I really want to start a discussion with my videos. That said, let's get into the actual topic of this video. So yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 came out recently, and as the name might suggest, it is the fourth game in the Xenoblade Chronicles series. And it is, by many counts, the best game in the series so far. And I have been playing it so much this week. I have played about 40 hours of the game already, which I think it is quite a lot to put into a single game in a week. And I definitely have been loving the experience so far. But there's still some flaws in the game that I do want to talk about that have been apparent through the series. So I just want to go through like the game design things that I noticed that are really good and some that are kind of bad, and explain why they are bad, how could they be done better, and compare them how they were done in the other games. So I hope you find this video interesting as I like making them. And don't worry if you have not played far enough into Xenoblade Chronicles 3, because I have not completed it myself, and as I said, I am game designer. I'm only going to be talking about like game design things. I'm not going to be spoiling the story for you. So don't be afraid of spoilers. There's going to be none in this video. But yeah, let's start with the first thing I want to talk about, and this is a broad category of combat. Combat is usually one of the big hurdles for people in Xenoblade games. They are often like very complicated, and it's really hard for people to get into them. And a few months ago, I did make a video about Xenoblade Chronicles combat systems and what really makes them difficult. And most of it is just, while it is very complicated, uh, there's a few things not really well done in the other games. Mainly, I talked about Xenoblade Chronicles 2, while stuff like tutorial, the UI, and some other stuff that do hinder the experience. And I would love to say I am just glad to say, like, when I first opened up the game, the tutorials were great. The tutorials were just amazingly done. I feel like they're not perfect. There's still some places where the game just stops to give you an info dump, which I don't like. But most of the time, the tutorials are great. You can review them at any time. I had some moments when I was playing, like, why does the game keep doing this and this? And instead of looking it online, I looked it up in the game and found the answer, which is something really great for the game to have. Then you can also have like tutorial battles in the menu again. If you like really don't remember how some mechanic works, you can test it out. The game actually like checks you that you do that thing in the combat session in order to win, which is really great. And just overall, I think the game is a bit more simplified when it comes to the combat, so it is easier for people like to get into, and I really like it. And otherwise, there are like other loads of good like updates and other changes that do make it seem a lot more better. One thing I especially remember is that there is the chain attack thing in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is like much more simplified and easier to actually get into and get like high numbered attacks, really powerful attacks with it. And in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I really didn't get how any of it worked, even after like watching a tutorial. Like, how do I get like really good damage output here? But that is different in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I'm happy to say that. And I also really like that you can change your character at all times. Not really into the fact that you have to scroll through the character list even while in combat. You have to like go through all of the characters, and you can't just like, there's not like a wheel you can't choose the character from, like I want to go from this character straight to this character, but you have to scroll through them. That's a bit annoying. And after the combat is done, you can go to the menu and change your character's class to be whatever you want, which is also really good. And if you keep that character at one class for a bit, they can like inherit some skills from there, they can inherit some moves from there, which I think is really, really cool. The main problem with the combat is still that there's just a lot of going on. The tutorials definitely help, but there's just like so many things going on, like character debuffs and character areas that you have to be. There's like 7 characters on screen right now, which I think might be a bit overkill. I don't think that's as big of a problem as I thought it would be, but it's still quite a lot. And when there's like so much going on in the center of the screen, you don't necessarily know who you're attacking and how much HP does your party members have. Those are the kind of things that you don't really pay attention to, which I feel like in this game, it should be something. And even outside of combat, there's like so many ways to like upgrade your character that I feel like it's a bit too much. Like there's accessories and gems that you can equip your character with that both boost your stats, and you can have 3 of each on a character. So I don't really feel like, what's the point? Why have so many accessories? Why have so many gems? And why are they a separate thing? Because I feel like they are kind of similar in what they actually do. So why do they have to be a different thing? Those kind of things just make it feel more complicated than it should be. And it's sometimes just like really hard to keep track of what you're doing. Also, common criticism of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I feel like mainly because people didn't really understand the how the battle mechanics worked in that game, was that it felt way too slow. And here, it is mostly not the case, but then in some like big boss battles, they are like large creatures. It feels like they're not actual bosses, they just feel like normal enemies that have like 10 times the HP. And that is not, in my opinion, good boss design. They just feel like they are taking ages. And I remember like I was at some undisclosed point of the game. I don't even remember at what point I was at anymore. And I was beating this like main boss kind of guy, the main sort of bad guy in the game. This boss creature. I'm not gonna spoil it, but if you've played the game, you probably know what I mean. Uh, I was beating him up. The battle took like 7 minutes to make. The chain attacks also take some time because the attack animations go on forever. So it took a long time. It took a long time. And right as I was about to like win the battle, it had like 10% or less HP left. I lost, which, you know, most games just fine, but it was just like taking so long. I just went to the menu and put the game on easy just so I could like go through the battle faster. I didn't really have like troubles with the battle. I think I could have easily beaten the guy on my next turn because he only had like 10% HP left. It wasn't that bad. I just wanted to get it over with. And this is sometimes like a problem after you have like some really engaging, cool cutscene and like, haha, we are finally getting like the upper hand in this battle. And then you go into a boss battle that takes like 10 minutes to beat one guy. And it just feels like the gameplay just goes through a halt. and the story is really exciting. It gets you like pumped up, and then it's just like doing the same thing over and over again to one big guy that just doesn't die. So it is definitely still a problem that it does feel a bit too slow. But moving on to another thing, and that is the open world of the game. I like to do a lot of open world analysis here. I haven't done one in a while, maybe I should. But I feel like one of the biggest problems I used to have with Xenoblade games, and I am glad they improved this, and this is magnificent that they did, is basically like maps and navigation in the open world. And that has always been a problem because, Xenoblade games have really beautiful open worlds, but they are also like really complex. They have like some pathways that are kind of hard to see. They sometimes have like multiple layers of environments, like you have cliff, then you have something under the cliff, then maybe you have also like underground, and then the game just tells you it's like on this point of the map and doesn't tell you like what layer or how to get there. So it has been kind of hard navigating sometimes, and Xenoblade games used to only show like the distance you have to the objective. Like you have 200 meters, walk there, and maybe showing like what way to go, but not like how to get there. And thankfully, there is like this new feature that just shows you the way there, like a navigation tool for quests. And it's a really good one. It's a really good one. I'm glad it is there and it is really necessary. In most games, I would probably not use this at all. For something like Mario Odyssey had a similar kind of feature that shows you like the shortest route that or the route that you're supposed to go through to get to an objective. But because like Xenoblade words are so complicated and some of the pathways are not like clear, how do I get there? So I have it on in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I have it on at all times basically because it is a very useful thing to have on, and I'm glad it's there. But other things than quest are sometimes really hard to still get to, in my opinion. So there's still a bit of that problem left, but I am glad they fixed it. The open world itself, like I said, it's always pretty. Monolith Soft is like they're really great at making like beautiful looking open worlds, but there's also the problem that I just don't feel like there is quite enough to explore there. I know that the main thing is not like to explore, it's basically to expand the world, bring grandness to it. Xenoblade games thrive in this world where it is like this giant, majestic looking world. But just going through it is sometimes a bit boring. There's not much to collect. There's side quests. If you care about combat, there's unique monsters so you can challenge yourself. But otherwise, there's not like much in there. And that is always a bit shame to me. I feel like there should be more like objects of interest. You see something while you're playing, and I want to go there. Let's see what's in there. Maybe there's like a treasure chest or something that gives me actually something useful. But in Xenoblade games overall, all of these ones, I just feel like there's not much incentive to actually go and explore, go get lost in the world, and that is something I really want from open world games. Not everyone needs to do this, of course, but I feel like they should do a bit more with the open worlds. They're beautiful. There is stuff to find there, and I'm glad like places where you can activate a quest are marked with like a question mark. Hey, go here and something might happen. I like that, and I always go to them like, okay, there's something there, and I want to go there. But I would prefer to see it as something clearly visible on the map, like, hey, something is going on there, so I wouldn't like have to look at the map to see it. Like, okay, there is a marker here. I need to go there for something to happen. So I wish it was a bit more. And then also for open world, it is of course important on how you go from place A to place B. And the traversal is a bit lacking, I feel like. There is no climbing or gliding, this is no Breath of the Wild. And what's the most unfortunate thing is that there's not really like a way to go faster either. Your character does run, and you can even set it to like auto run, but there is no way to like go really fast. Something like Breath of the Wild, they have like horses. Pokemon Legends Arceus has like Pokemon you can ride on. Some games you like, some open world games use like a vehicle so you can get around, and even Xenoblade X uses like mechs that are a way to get from point A to point B faster. And that is something I feel like it is missing from Xenoblade Chronicles 3. There are definitely points in the game where you have to like walk 600 meters, you're a bit over leveled, so the enemies won't even attack you. So you're just going straight one line for like 3 minutes and nothing happens. There's not much to see in the world. There's like nothing interesting nearby. You're just walking from one point to another. So that gets a bit boring sometimes. And this does happen a few times while playing, so it is a bit unfortunate. Okay, I have criticized the game a bit, but this is definitely the best thing, the best update in the game overall, and that is the quest system, mainly side quests. And Xenoblade Chronicles 1, especially like the 3DS version, I have not played the Switch version by the way, so I don't know if they like made any changes. That game had like horrible quests. They were just like a random guy in a village said to you just basically like, hey, I need these 3 items. Then you went to get those items, and that was the quest. There's like no story reason, you didn't get much from it, and it was just boring. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has a bunch of updates on how the quest system kind of works. There are 2 types of like side quests. There are like normal quests where a character might ask for like an item, or to find a person and talk to them, or defeat a monster, blah blah blah. Normal quests. But then there's also hero quests, which are much beefier side quests. And what's interesting about hero quests is that at the end, you either get like this cool story sequence with characters, and maybe even most of them, I think, give you like a new playable character as. So that is something really cool. And the rewards are good for like the normal quests as well. You of course have your like traditional EXP, money, gear, blah blah blah, those kind of rewards. But what's cool here is Xenoblade Chronicles 3 also gives you like community points. So you can upgrade all of the places you've been to. If you've been to like place A and you do a quest related or around place A, you get community points for that. And when you upgrade your community, you get like certain rewards when you go back there. Like you might get like discounts on shops if you go there, and that is something cool. And whenever you do a quest, you like immediately see like the progress bar going up. So that is really good, and they give you like enough community points, and that is basically the main method of like raising your community. So that is a good, really good way of like giving the player progression. They immediately see the rewards, and that is something more than your like traditional coins or exp. And why this is much better is because like if you're high level, there is usually like no incentive for you to go back and finish up a level 5 quest that you were supposed to do like early game. Or if you go back to the early game area and find a quest, like there's not really, why should I do this? The gear I get from it is bad. I don't get a lot of money or exp from it. So there's not really any reason. But when it gives you like an upgrade to your community, there's something a bit more in there. So that's why this is a really good mechanic to have, and I wish more games did something like this. There's also one little quality of life thing I noticed about quests is that if you go to like the quest menu, there you can see like a progress bar. How far are you to finishing this quest? And this is really cool. And it's really cool that they show this for like story quests as well, story chapters. Like, how far are you to finishing this part of the story? That is really cool. That is a really useful piece of information, and that's just something I didn't expect, and that's something that delighted me to see, and I wish more games did this. And now finally moving on to a few other things I wanted to mention. One thing that was a bit annoying, that if you go through the menu, you might see like a hero list of the playable characters that you can unlock. There's a bit of a problem here because all of the characters that you have not yet unlocked, there is like a silhouette of them. And this is kind of bad because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a very story heavy game. So there is some spoilers in that menu, and you can view the spoilers at all times, like, hey, I will get a character that looks like this. Well, the character at this point of the story is a bad guy, or I thought they were dead, or hey, this character, I know this character, but they look a bit different, so they might get like an upgrade to how they look later on. So it definitely gives you like a lot of spoilers. So if you find this menu and your early game, I suggest you do not look at it at all. So that is a bit bad. Another thing is difficulty modes. I like that there are different difficulty modes. I like that you can change it at all times. Like I said, at one point I just changed the game to easy just to get through battles faster, and then I changed it back to normal after the battle. So I appreciate this, but Xenoblade Chronicles 2 had a more extensive difficulty selection, and I feel like they should have added this like right at the start. I don't know why they didn't. Maybe that will come later as like a DLC thing, hopefully not paid DLC. But the game definitely, I feel like it would be way more fun if the game had it, and if they add it like later on, that's kind of like adding all of these accessibility modes. Hopefully not behind a paywall, but that is definitely something that I feel like should be there day one. Doesn't feel like it would take like too many months to make a menu like you had in Xenoblade 2 already. So I wish they had that. And final thing I want to mention is a good thing. The UI is better than I thought it would be. There's like plenty of shortcuts you can take. The character switching is easy, and it is quite easy to find things that you're looking for, and you don't have to go through like egregious menus to find everything. Some things are still kind of hidden, and the battle UI is also good. I thought it would be way too much. Some things like the party HP and something, it's not something you don't pay much attention to, which is kind of something that you kind of need to pay attention to, so that could be done better. But overall, it was really well done. But yeah, I've been really enjoying this game, and I definitely do recommend it, even though I did criticize it a bit. It is a good game. It is a good game. It is a clear improvement over the other games in the series, and it is definitely, at least from what I have played, and I have played quite a bit of it, it is the best game in the series. And the main drive for me have been the like story and the quests in the game, and those have just been magnificent. The story too. But now I want to hear like, what do you think? What do you think about this game? Let me know. Let me know down in the comments below. And I have nothing else to say here, so I will just see you guys next time. Bye bye.